True authority is not loud, desperate, or constantly demanding recognition. It is a quiet force that does not need to announce itself to be felt. This rare aura is born from an unshakable self-possession, a deep knowing of who you are and what you stand for. Weak people cannot comprehend this kind of presence because their identity is fragile, built upon the approval of others. They scramble for validation like beggars asking for scraps, while you stand unmoved, indifferent to whether you are praised or ignored. This calm certainty unsettles them because it reminds them of everything they are not. The power in this aura lies in its refusal to bend to the emotional chaos of others. You do not chase their attention. Instead, you make them come to you. Your silence carries more weight than their loudest speeches. It is not arrogance, it is discipline. You do not give away your energy to every demand. You do not explain yourself unnecessarily, and you do not try to please everyone. This lack of desperation creates a magnetic pull, and yet it also triggers insecurity in those who live for external validation. They will feel small in your presence, not because you belittle them, but because your composure reflects their lack of control. This aura cannot be faked. People can pretend to be confident for a while, but the cracks always show when pressure arrives. True authority comes from years of mastering your impulses, observing rather than reacting, and staying strategic when others are emotional. It is not a performance, it is who you are when no one is watching. When you walk into a room, you do not compete for attention, you own it without effort. This unsettles weak people because it disrupts their illusion that power comes from volume, status, or approval. They sense something in you that cannot be bought or easily destroyed. Your value does not depend on being liked, and this is perhaps the most dangerous thing about you in their eyes. Most people can be manipulated through flattery or fear of rejection, but you have removed those chains. You have no hunger for constant reassurance, no need to be in every conversation, and no fear of walking away when the game no longer serves you. The weak interpret this as coldness, but in truth, it is freedom. You are not bound by their emotional games, and this threatens the way they operate. The rare aura is not just about how you speak or act. It is about the energy you carry into every situation. It is the pause before you answer, the way you hold your gaze, the way you do not rush to fill silence. It is the refusal to be pulled into chaos, no matter how loud the storm around you becomes. Weak people cannot breathe in that stillness. They feel exposed, as if your very presence strips away their disguises. And perhaps that is the essence of this rare power. It does not need to dominate to win. It only needs to exist, and the rest of the world adjusts around it. The rare aura that unsettles the weak does not rely on aggression, loudness, or showy displays of dominance. It lies in something far more disarming, an unshakable composure. This is the stillness of a man or woman who cannot be provoked, whose emotions remain under lock and key, even when chaos swirls around them. Weak people, whether they admit it or not, feed on the reactions of others. They measure their influence by how easily they can push someone into anger, fluster, or insecurity. But when their attempts to provoke are met with nothing but calm, measured stillness, it shatters their illusion of control. It reminds them often painfully that their games only work on those who cannot master themselves. To possess this composure, you must train yourself to move through conflict like a shadow in a storm, untouched, unshaken, unwilling to waste your energy in emotional theatrics. Every time you show restraint, you deny others the satisfaction of reading your weaknesses. This frustrates them, for most people survive in a social ecosystem built on visible vulnerability. They thrive when they can read a twitch in your face, the shift in your tone, the nervous movement of your eyes. But when your exterior is as controlled as your thoughts, you leave them grasping at smoke, unable to influence you in the ways they do with everyone else. This composure is not passive. It is active control. It is the art of slowing your breath when others raise their voices, of speaking softer when the atmosphere grows tense, of thinking with clarity when everyone else is reacting blindly. In doing this, you shift the balance of power without lifting a hand or raising a word. The weak mistake noise for strength. The strong know that silence, properly used, is more terrifying than any outburst. Your calmness becomes a mirror in which the other person's lack of control is reflected back at them, forcing them to confront their own fragility. The weak will interpret your stillness as arrogance. They will imagine hidden strategies in your silence. Their minds will work against them, filling in the blanks with fears, doubts, and suspicions. This is the true beauty of unshakable composure. It forces your opponents to fight battles in their own heads before they even engage with you directly. And because the mind is a cruel battlefield, many will destroy themselves before they ever touch you. Yet, maintaining such composure is no small task. It requires a deep discipline over your impulses, an emotional detachment from petty conflicts, and the wisdom to see that not every challenge deserves your energy. You must become someone who speaks only when it serves a purpose, who moves only with intent, who reacts only when it truly matters. This is how your presence grows into something more than mere physicality. It becomes a psychological weight, an invisible pressure that follows you into every room. The weak will feel it before you speak. They will sense it before you act. And they will find themselves unnerved by the fact that no matter what they do, they cannot pull you into the chaos in which they live. There is a type of silence that is not born from shyness, fear, or uncertainty, but from power. It is the silence of someone who knows exactly who they are and doesn't need to prove it to anyone. This silence does not shrink, it expands. It fills the air with an invisible weight, forcing others to adjust themselves in its presence. When you master this kind of silence, you stop competing for attention. You no longer chase validation or approval. Instead, you allow your very presence to speak for you. And this presence says more than any speech ever could. Weak people cannot handle this silence because it reveals something uncomfortable. It exposes their restlessness, their insecurity, and their constant need to fill the void with meaningless noise. Commanding silence is a strategic weapon. When you speak less, every word you do say gains weight. People lean in, not because you shout to be heard, but because they sense that your words are rare and valuable. The silence between them is where the real power lies. In this space, people project their own fears, hopes, and interpretations onto you. They begin to wonder what you are thinking, what you know, what you might do. Their imagination does more work than your voice ever could. This is why the most feared leaders, the most magnetic figures, and the most unshakable individuals often say little. They let others feel the gravity of their restraint. But commanding silence is not just about withholding words. It is about controlling your energy. You do not fidget. You do not rush to fill gaps in conversation. You move slowly, with intention, as though you have all the time in the world. This communicates one thing clearly. You are in control. Control over your emotions, control over your reactions, control over the pace at which others interact with you. Weak people, those who rely on chaos, noise, and constant chatter to mask their lack of depth, will feel exposed in front of this stillness. It forces them to confront the emptiness they've been avoiding, To wield this silence effectively, you must learn to be comfortable with the discomfort it creates in others. Most people will instinctively try to break it, to drag you into meaningless dialogue, to pull you into their rhythm. But you resist. You do not explain yourself unless necessary. You do not give away what you are thinking unless it serves your purpose. Every time you refuse to surrender your silence, you make the other person play your game. Over time, they begin to feel they are the ones seeking your approval, even if the conversation began with them in control. This is the rare aura that unsettles the weak, the quiet dominance of someone who does not need the world's noise to feel alive. Your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting back to them their own insecurity, and the more they look, the more they realize they are in the presence of someone they cannot easily influence or manipulate. In the realm of influence and authority, emotions can be both a strength and a liability. While they can inspire passion, loyalty, and human connection, they can also cloud judgment, expose vulnerabilities, and open the door to manipulation. Emotional detachment, when used strategically, acts as a shield of power. It does not mean becoming cold or inhuman. It means mastering the ability to separate personal feelings from decision-making, ensuring that you remain in control regardless of the emotional climate around you. This shield allows leaders, influencers, and strategists to maintain clarity when others are consumed by anger, excitement, or fear. True emotional detachment begins with self-awareness. It is the recognition that the immediate emotional reaction you feel, be it rage, sadness, or even joy, can influence your actions in ways that may not serve your long-term interests. A person who lacks emotional detachment will often respond impulsively, speaking or acting in ways they later regret. They will allow personal grievances to dictate professional choices, or become so consumed with victory that they ignore hidden threats. By contrast, a person with emotional detachment can observe their feelings without letting those feelings dictate their actions. They maintain a calm center even in the midst of chaos, which not only strengthens their decision-making, but also intimidates opponents who are expecting an emotional response. This principle is especially important in conflict. When an adversary provokes you, they are often testing your ability to remain composed. If they can get under your skin, they can manipulate you into overreacting, making rash moves, or revealing weaknesses. Emotional detachment robs them of that advantage. It allows you to listen to insults without flinching, to watch an opponent's theatrics without reacting, and to act only when the timing serves your purposes. It creates an aura of mystery. People wonder what you are thinking, what you are planning, and how you can remain so unshaken when others would have lost control. In relationships of power, whether in politics, business, or personal dynamics, emotional detachment also protects you from being used. Many people will attempt to leverage sympathy, guilt, or affection to get what they want. Without detachment, you may give in to their requests even when it harms your own interests. With detachment, you can acknowledge their feelings without being controlled by them. You can say no without guilt, negotiate without attachment to the outcome, and walk away from situations that no longer serve you. This is not cruelty. It is strategic self-preservation. Another benefit of emotional detachment is that it makes you a more effective observer. When you are not emotionally entangled in a situation, you can see patterns, motivations, and opportunities that others overlook. You can analyze people's words and actions objectively, detecting lies, hidden agendas, or inconsistencies. This insight gives you a decisive advantage in any power dynamic. Where others are blinded by hope, fear, or anger, you see reality as it is, and that clarity allows you to act with precision. Emotional detachment is not about repressing feelings, but about mastering them. You acknowledge your emotions, but you do not let them control you. You use them when they serve you and set them aside when they do not. This discipline transforms you into someone who cannot be easily provoked, manipulated, or destabilized. It is a skill that requires constant practice, but once developed, it becomes one of the most unbreakable shields in your arsenal of power. Strategic communication is not simply about speaking clearly. It is about crafting your words in a way that positions you exactly where you want to be in the minds of others. Those who understand this art never speak without intent. Every phrase is measured, every tone calibrated, and every pause calculated to either reveal or conceal power. In the world of influence, language is a weapon, and silence is its sharpest blade. The most powerful individuals understand that their words can inspire loyalty, plant doubt, or shift an entire conversation in their favor. They speak when it matters, and when they do, their message is layered, appearing simple on the surface but carrying multiple meanings for those who know how to listen. In mastering strategic communication, you learn that words are rarely just words. They are signals, testaments of your control, and mirrors reflecting how others should perceive you. If you speak recklessly, you hand over your power to interpretation. If you speak strategically, you control the narrative before anyone else has the chance to define it for you. This means choosing your words not based solely on what you want to say, but on what effect you want to produce. Sometimes, the most strategic choice is to say nothing at all, forcing others to reveal themselves in the silence you create. Timing becomes your hidden ally in this process. Saying the right thing at the wrong moment can be as damaging as saying the wrong thing altogether. A master strategist waits until the emotional climate is favorable before delivering their words. This often means holding back when provoked, resisting the urge to clarify immediately, and waiting until your audience is most receptive or vulnerable. By controlling when and how you speak, you dictate the rhythm of the interaction, and in doing so, you subtly dictate the thoughts and emotions of others. The delivery of your message carries as much weight as the message itself. Strategic communicators understand the psychological impact of tone, pacing, and body language. A sharp phrase delivered slowly and deliberately can pierce deeper than a long speech delivered hurriedly. Pauses, in particular, are powerful. They force the listener to lean in, to anticipate, to wait for the next word. And in that waiting, you hold their attention hostage. Even the simplest statements can sound profound if delivered with authority and restraint. Another critical element in mastering strategic communication is the ability to plant ideas without seeming to. The most influential people rarely instruct directly. Instead, they guide the mind of others toward a conclusion that feels like it was reached independently. This is the essence of persuasion, not forcing agreement, but allowing someone to believe they arrived at it themselves. You accomplish this through suggestion, storytelling, and the use of emotionally resonant imagery that bypasses rational resistance. Finally, true mastery in this field demands emotional discipline. If your words are triggered by anger, frustration, or desperation, you relinquish control. Strategic communication thrives in a state of calm, where every word is deliberate and every expression intentional. You are not merely reacting to the world, you are shaping it. Through this approach, your voice becomes a tool of influence that operates far beyond the surface of conversation, embedding itself in the minds and decisions of those around you. In the grand game of influence, the true masters are not those who shout the loudest, but those who understand the quiet, unshakable mechanics of human nature. Machiavelli's wisdom shows us that influence is not built overnight. It's cultivated through calculated actions, strategic patience, and an unyielding grasp of timing, perception, and human desires. The principles we've explored are not mere theories. They are battle-tested strategies that have shaped kings, toppled empires, and built legacies that outlived their architects. To influence anyone, you must become more than just persuasive. You must become inevitable. Every interaction should subtly pull people toward your vision, not by force, but by creating an environment where your presence feels like the natural choice. This is not about manipulation in the crude sense, but about mastering the art of positioning yourself so powerfully that resistance fades into irrelevance. In the end, influence is about control, not just over others, but over yourself. The one who can govern their emotions, anticipate reactions, and adapt in silence will always outmaneuver the one who acts out of impulse. The world is full of noise, but the influential move like shadows, shaping reality before anyone even notices. If you can learn to see what others ignore, to act when others hesitate, and to step back when others rush forward, you will hold the kind of influence that cannot be taken from you. History remembers those who understood that power is not just in having the sword. It's in knowing when to sheath it. Machiavelli's lessons remain as sharp today as they were centuries ago, and those who apply them will not merely play the game of life, they will design it.